Thanks for tuning in to Middle Class Reactions. Today we're going to talk about one of those things that if I ever go viral, this video is probably going to bite me in the ass. But it's something culturally that's happening, so I think we should talk about it. Black fatigue, and it's it's one of those things that super hot button for obvious reasons. A lot of people say that it is it's just a different word that lets people talk about, them being racist. And then you have people who are saying that, we're talking about culture, not race. And I didn't think this has really happened since the Carmelo Anthony, and I forget her name, but that white chick who called a 5-year-old the N word. That's when this really kind of spewed off, and since it has started, it has went just wildfire. I think there's a lot of cultural tensions behind that, not racism, but cultural tensions. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but we're going to see what this panel talks about. This is out of Houston, and the fact that there's a panel on a national YouTube or a national news channel that was also posted on YouTube that's talking about this is, I didn't think we would see it, but here we are, and it is now a topic of normal debate. So we're gonna see what this panel talks about, and then we'll discuss it.
Now to black fatigue, it has recently been turned into a feeling that some white and black people have who say they are damn tired of foolishness of some black people, the claims of racism from sunup to sundown, loud talking, fighting, and the list goes on. Not my list now, keep that in mind. But some people are tired of the complaints and don't give a damn. Here's what one TikTok user had to say about it.
Not racist, and I know y'all have been told this is racist, but it's not. It's not racist to call black people out for their behavior and what they're doing to society at this moment. I'm glad people are noticing this because it's been so many years and it's finally catching up to y'all. I've been trying to tell y'all that white people are tired of y'all. I'm tired of y'all too, but everybody, the world is getting sick of y'all and y'all's. I'm so glad this day is here. I've been trying to get out there that you people need help. It's me, but me and other black conservatives. We've been trying to warn society that this is what it's going to come to when y'all keep coddling black people.
All righty, are her feelings valid? Joining us to talk about it, Dr. Angela Jones, political analyst, Angela Box, activist.
So I do want to say, that is a sentiment I've heard from a lot of the black friends I do have. I have one specific, I'm going to leave his name out of this because he's a cop buddy of mine, but he's a cop down in Texas. And he's told me that for years, man. Like, he's sick of it. How he gets treated by other black people. But, that's, I think, one of the more interesting things about this conversation is the amount of black conservatives that are coming out being like, hey, we're sick of this behavior, and, like, what they're trying to do, it seems like, is show, like, hey, not all of us are that way, But like I said, I'm going to try not to interrupt during this panel. I have a lot of thoughts on this topic, but I'll do my best not to interrupt. Let's take a look.
Eugene Howard, filmmaker Sean Welling, and conservative M. Williams. We want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor. First of all, let's define what black fatigue is supposed to be, Dr. Jones.
Black fatigue is supposed to be just and I'm trying to make it as short as possible. Basically, society is saying that they're tired of how black people are blaming things that have happened to us historically in the past on what's happening today. And they are also now adding different things that they have seen in society to that behavior as well. As she said, like loud mouthing or maybe, using certain words or certain behaviors in public. So that's basically the definition in a short sense.
Do we get anywhere with that, with this conversation?
No, this absolutely
okay, good night, folks.
I mean, the thing is, it's an absolutely pointless conversation. It's like, okay, so now what? Thank you for letting us know that there's a new fancy word of you saying that you're tired of black people. Mm-hmm. And and you put it on the internet, and now people are co-signing on it, including with the way the environment is already. But it's okay. You put a nice new name to it, and now you feel like it's okay to say. And it's not going to do anything for anybody to now pander this term around, to pass it on in the internet and put it in people's mouth and make people feel encouraged to say, I have black fatigue. But when we're all tired, when I'm saying all, we're all tired of something and somewhere, there's always something. So this is not actually going to help anyone psychologically, mentally, emotionally. It's only going to create more divisiveness, more anger, and more hate in society.
And when we see a lot of people, especially black people, joining that chorus, saying that I'm tired of black people too, what will that do?
It's not going to do anything, because here's the thing, that black person or the black people that are on the internet saying that can go somewhere and they're going to be already stereotyped into the group that they're trying to separate themselves from just because they're black. You actually have to be around people to see their behavior. You have to witness their behavior to actually understand who they are. But she could sit there and be in a crowd of a room of black people, and guess who she's going to be included in that group as well. She's not doing anything that is going to help her or her race at this time.
All right, Angela, let's hear from you. Your thoughts about this
Angela.
black fatigue.
Well, with all due respect to Angela, number one, I really disagree with this. It is a completely behavior-based issue. And when white people, black people, Hispanic people are saying we have black fatigue because of the behavior of some black people, we've all seen it, we all know what it is. It's everywhere, and the issue is way more insidious than people realize. And I talk about how a lot of these things come back to what the Democrat Party has done to the black community purposefully, starting with the Great Society of Lyndon B. Johnson, who he famously said, I'm going to have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. When Democrats said you don't need fathers in the home, you can be on welfare and have as many babies as you want. And oh, by the way, we're going to destroy public schools, and we're going to make sure that behavior standards are seen as racist. So the out of control behavior that we've seen in the classrooms, in society, all over, is part and parcel of what the Democrat Party has done to the black community.
All right, Eugene, let's hear from you before we have to take a break.
Man, why are we all? What does the Democrat Party have to do with black fatigue?
Everything.
Hold on. Okay. First of all, I think he asked Eugene. So last time I checked, I'm Eugene on the stage. So the Democratic Party has nothing to do with black fatigue. What the original term from the actual black community of black fatigue was after every other community decided to vote, since you want to talk politics, Donald Trump, then black folks said, we're going to sit this one out. We're going to let this thing burn down, and we're going to go have a good time because we're tired. We have been struggling. Our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-great-great-great-grandparents have been fighting this same fight. So if you guys want to turn around, and he said the N-word, why don't you guys feel so comfortable, just say it. Just go ahead and say the N-word. If it's so okay, if you're so fatigued, if you don't want to recognize the civil rights plight, go ahead and say the N-word. No one's stopping you. It's a free country,
not on
right?
this show, Eugene.
I mean, I'm just
about to
saying.
lose me my show.
But
So this is, I mean, he's making a prime example of this because one, it's like on the political side of things, like there's more black people that voted for Trump in the 2024 election than any other election, so that's just not a true statement. But the way he's acting right now is like, man, you kind of proving the point, dude. Like, why you got to be so dramatic about everything? Like, man, you kind of proving the point here. And then to address this lady right here, it is, one second. There we go. To address this lady right here, to say like, oh, we can't talk about that, so you just need to be quiet and not talk about it. One is how issues fester. Two, how she was saying that, like, oh, those black people that are also saying that they have black fatigue, they don't need to be talking about this because they're also going to be looped into the group as well. I think that's kind of the point. They're like, hey, we're not the same as these other black people out here that are acting a fool, So I think that's kind of the point of why they're speaking out. But let's keep going.
But that's my point. It's a lot of things that they want to use code words, whether it's DEI, whether it's black fatigue. They just want to be able to say the N word without being able to say the N word.
So do you not find certain behaviors objectionable, or you think it's cool?
Listen. I live in a real community. I see a whole bunch of unruly white folks, Hispanic folks. So it's not just the black community, but we always want to emphasize on black when it's negative.
All right, we'll take a break there. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue our discussion after the break. Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We continue our discussion on black fatigue tonight. The feeling involves the stress that some black people deal with when it comes to constant exposure to racism. But there are people on both sides and inside and outside the black community who say they are tired of hearing about it. Our guests are back here on The Factor. Emenderlin, let's begin with you. As a conservative, your thoughts about black fatigue.
Well, whether you like black fatigue as a name or not, it's the truth. Like, we're tired of the victimhood mentality, the trauma identification, the need for external, agreement. That's ridiculous. That's terrible for the black community right now. That's terrible for the children growing up. I mean, there's so many broken homes, and I think that's the core foundation. Number one, I believe the core foundation is that the parents failed to not only unify the home, but also failed to put true identity in God in the children. So if you don't have identity in God, you don't have identity at all. That's number one.
Do you at all see the black community as a lost cause, or just
Absolutely
some
not.
individuals? What?
I don't believe the black community is a lost cause at all. I just believe that we need to stop as a whole with all of this complaining. We need to move past the past and, become better. As an American, my parents were actually Nigerian. They came here in the 80s and they grew up here. They had me and my brothers, and we're all successful and not one complaint through our entire childhood. They said, work for what you need, work for what you're gonna get, and you will get it. God placed talent in all of us, black, white, whatever you may, call yourself, but God placed, all of these great things within us. Why should I now say, oh, well, a white person thinks this of me, or there's racism here and there? I don't think about that. I don't wake up every morning and have racism and all of these negative things on my mind. I move forward and I move past that.
All right, Sean, let's hear from you. Your thoughts about this conversation and the term that we now hear.
And again, I was so taken by your speech. The term we're talking about is black, what was it again? It's
fatigue.
Okay, so on black fatigue, and coming from somebody, and I think I agree with her tremendously, having a school for 3 decades, it was the first hip-hop dance school in the country. It's a cancer to tell a young kid that they're oppressed, that they're less than, and the world's against them. Right from the beginning, you're setting a standard by which they have to overcome something, when really you need to put God in them and tell them how great things are for them.
Amen.
So I was never around black people to complain. All the actors and dancers I was around, they had a sense of purpose. They were dynamic, and they never complained. So to me, it's really what I get is in social media is a lot of white people complaining and creating this problem, saying, look, watch out, these people are in trouble. I'm like, back off. Let them create their own destiny.
Absolutely.
So I don't see that as being the black issue. I see more of a liberal white situation when they're not even in a position to complain or talk about it. They're virtue signaling, and it drives us nuts.
Okay.
Dr. Jones?
The conversation that we're having here is whether black fatigue is a real thing. But the problem is that the reason this topic has come back up is because of the viral video that recently came out of the woman that called a 5-year-old autistic kid the N-word. And then she raised $700,000 by a Christian organization, and I am Christian as well, so I just want to put that out there as well. And she raised $300,000 from another organization. I don't know if she actually got that money, but then this video from the person who originally started putting this on TikTok came out in reference to that.
Yeah.
Now, I am a first-generation American as well, and I was.
Well, she's leaving out the Carmelo Anthony incident, which I think is not on accident. I think she's purposefully not bringing that up because those two, she is right. The woman who called the 5-year-old an N-word, which obviously shouldn't have been a thing. But that was the Carmelo Anthony thing happened first, and you see a black kid allegedly, so I don't catch a lawsuit, stab a white kid in the chest over what was at most a high school fight. At most. That's heavily debatable that it was even that. But I'll grant him that. Even if it was a high school fight, and he stabs a kid in the chest and kills him. Right, and then in the wake of that, you see a whole bunch of mainly black people coming out, not only in support of Carmelo Anthony, but man, if you look through the comments on that, on the GoFundMe and the different spots that they were trying to raise money at, I mean, it was just straight up saying like, and not when I say this, I'm not saying a few were saying this, like a lot of people were saying like, it's good, time we fight back, F the white man, that kind of stuff. And when you have that open, just blatant, happiness, at least as a white guy, when I see the open, blatant acceptance from a lot of black people that a white kid got killed in that kind of scenario, it immediately makes me defensive. Immediately. Which, granted, black people I'm sure feel the same thing. I'm not saying they don't. But that's where the tension comes in. That's where the whole, that fight comes in at. And that's how this started. And I think there's been a lot of tension building up for a lot of years. But that's how we got here. So I don't want people who are unaware to think that like, oh, this one white lady called a 5-year-old the N-word, and then, oh, now we're just talking about black fatigue. That's not what happened.
Was taught a certain way as well. But what we cannot ignore is the things that have set us back as a community. The reason we are not where we're supposed to be is because we are still only a couple of decades away from what we have been oppressed from and the things that we have gone
Constantly
from.
looking at the past.
My
Really quick, let Dr. Jones talk.
Okay. And so my grandmother, who just passed away last week, was there for the civil rights, was there for everything like that. And I was there to see all of those things as well. It cannot be ignored that these things are still oppressing our community. I understand, and I actually agree. Like, I was instilled hard work, go to school, do what you're supposed to do. And I did, but I'm not going to sit there and ignore as though the people in my community, not everyone had that opportunity. So at the end of the day, to say like, yes, we're tired of it, but let's go in every community. We could sit there and say there's white fatigue, there's Hispanic fatigue, there's Asian fatigue, there's fatigue in everywhere. But the problem is that they're always emphasizing the black community as the pitch. It's the behavior and every.
Okay, so this is where this panel is going to start going downhill very quick. So I just want to kind of add in a few things here, and then we'll watch it kind of spiral out. You don't see you. And I'm also going to preface with this. Someone is going to see this. I guarantee if this video gets any kind of views on it, someone's going to be like, oh, you're just a racist white guy talking. No, I'm not. I'm just having the conversation. I have no hatred for black people. Okay, now that that's said, you don't have the events that happen. Say if you get, we'll say 20 white guys together, and then you get 20 black guys together. Just your normal, you're not cherry picking, just average 20 white guys, average 20 black guys. The behaviors that are going to come out of those two groups are wildly different. Wildly different. And, I live in an area of the country now where there's not a super high black population. And even a lot of people where I'm at don't have a lot of experience around high populations of black people. But where I'm from, in Northeast Texas, there is a lot of black people there, like super high population of it. And you see it, man, when like 10, 15, 20 of them get together, even 5 of them get together. The behavior that a lot of that comes out of a lot of those groups, it's just not awesome. It's not fantastic. It's real rude, it's loud, it's obnoxious. And then on the other side of that, you have the victimhood mentality, like this very well-established lady, on a panel is talking about like, oh, this is still oppressing our communities. Like, no, it's not. There's nothing oppressing your communities now that's not your own fault. Like, it's just not. Especially in a world of affirmative action and DEI, like, you have no excuse. There are no excuses. And what Asian, like she brought up, there's Asian fatigue. What, are you upset that there's too many rich Asians? Like, what Asian fatigue is there? Hispanic fatigue? Not really. I mean, Unless you want to say that people are mad about the whole border issue thing, but that, I wouldn't call that Hispanic fatigue because it's not only Hispanics coming across the border, So I don't see any other group, Hispanics, Asians, whites, Colombians, whatever it is you want to say, whatever other race you want to say. I don't see any of them that have the same cultural, behavioral stuff like black people do. And I do think it is a culture thing, and I do think that this pink-dressed white lady right here had a good point when she said that, it was a lot of it was started because there's no dads in the home to, raise boys into men how to act, and so it's much more culturally accepted for certain things. That's just not accepted in other cultures. Excuse me. So I don't know. That's my take on it, but this panel's about to get chaotic. So, also, headphone warning. If you're wearing headphones, I think this is about to get kind of loud.
Behavior is the problem. Now, here's what's disgusting. We're coming up on the 5-year
And we
anniversary
got 30 seconds, guys.
of the St. George, Florida fentanyl dying. And every white liberal, and excuse me, every white liberal on planet Earth said that George Floyd is the epitome of black people, and we had billions and billions of dollars that didn't cause his death. He wasn't murdered.
That's off topic.
Millions and millions of dollars.
Thank you, guys. We want to thank you for joining us here on The Factor for this segment.
He wasn't murdered. Thank you.
Still ahead tonight.
Wow.
We'll
Back as a
Okay, so like I said, the fact this is even, I really want there to be like a, like an hour long, like a Pierce Morgan style panel of this where you can kind of dive deeper into it. But we'll see where this goes. Culturally wise, I do think this is a conversation that's going to be starting to be had for a while, and I do think it needs to be had because, like I said, culturally, there's just a different. There's a lot of cultural stuff in the black community that is very different than any other community. That is just it's a hard reality people need to talk about. Not that the black people themselves are inferior by any means, because they're not. It's a cultural problem, and there's certain things in that culture that are accepted that just aren't accepted in most other cultures, if any. And this is specifically a Black American problem because I do know quite a few from Africa, like recently from Africa. Not my fourth grandparent bag was brought over, and no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like a first or second generation African over here, and they cannot stand a lot of Black Americans. Hate them. And I think there's something to be said about that. Because it's not this issue, and you see a lot of Black Africans come over here and do really, really, really well financially. And I think what that says, what you can look at that and kind of ascertain from that, it's like, okay, there's nothing holding you back from being black. So, because if a other black guy from a different country can come over here and do super well, then what is holding the Black Americans back themselves? Because there is something going on where they're not doing as well as a lot of other races, but you got to look at the why. Is there something inherently in the country holding black people back? No, there's actually a lot of things the reverse that will put up black people and put down white and Asian people. Affirmative action is a fantastic example of this. And in case someone wants to come up in my comments and say that I'm lying or I'm wrong, Harvard lost a lawsuit about it, showing that they were putting lower test scores from blacks above higher test scores from whites and Asians. So don't give me that nonsense. I think the cultural aspect needs to be looked at, and I think that's what's going to start to happen. But we'll see. This is a very, very, very new discussion of topic, like the last month and a half. So we'll see what ends up happening from it. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I'm really curious some people's thoughts on this. Yeah, so like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff you know you need to, and I'll catch y'all later.